Welcome back to Dude We Can Fix It. Today I'm going to show you how to change out the struts on your car. Now the first thing is, if you're doing this in your home shop and you don't have access to a large commercial grade strut spring compressor, I will always recommend getting a quick strut like this here that has the spring already mounted to the strut. The reason being is that these springs are very dangerous, especially if you don't have the proper equipment to compress them and keep them in a cage while they are compressed. Now, if you can afford the extra expense of getting a quick strut like this, it will restore the original ride height of your vehicle and also keep you safe from having to compress these springs yourself. Smart choice. Now, let me explain why you might want to change out the struts on your car. If you ever drive over a bump and it sounds like your suspension is bottoming out or rattling a lot, squeaking, making a lot of noise, or if your car has a lot of roll whenever you're driving, your suspension may be at fault. One test you can do, you can hop in and bounce and see how much play your vehicle has. Now this car certainly does not have the worst suspension that I've seen, and definitely not the worst that I've replaced. However, I'm going to go ahead and replace it as some preventative maintenance items because the suspension is getting quite noisy and I'm noticing a lot of body roll when I drive around. So let's get started. It's a 19mm socket. Alright, now I have taken the rotor and the caliper and the bracket off. That is only to give you more access to view this. You do not need to remove those components. So once you've got the tire off and you have the vehicle lifted in the air, first thing we'll need to do is take a 12mm socket, remove this bolt for the retaining clip for your brake line. This will allow us to move this brake line out of the way and keep it safe and unkinked. And it will also allow us to remove the ABS wire. Next, we will simply pull this clip off of here and make sure that this does not get hung up on anything during the removal of the rest of this assembly. Now you will need a 14mm wrench for this nut here, and you'll also need a 5mm Allen wrench in the center to hold this from spinning. That way you can back this nut off. Now use your jack underneath the control arm to lift up. Once you have lifted a little bit, this will straighten out and you'll be able to push it out. Now let down your jack and remove it. You will need a 22mm wrench to hold the bolt side and a 22mm socket to take the nut off. Now we need to remove the bolts. Now we will wiggle the steering knuckle loose from the strut. Make sure that your wires and such are not being bound up. Also, you may want to take the 10mm bolt that is holding in your ABS wheel speed sensor and set this off to the side so that it does not get damaged. Now you'll need to pop the hood and locate the top of your struts. You will need a 14mm socket to loosen up these 3 nuts. Now upon removal of the last nut, the strut assembly will probably fall out of the bottom, so watch your toes. There it is. Alright, now is a good time to compare side by side the old component and the new component. Make sure that they look roughly identical. Pay special attention to your accessory mounting brackets, making sure that they are on the same side and in the same orientation. If they are different, if they are opposed, if they are swapped, flip-flopped, whatever, you may have the wrong side. The component may be wrong, so you might have a front left and this one might be a front right. So make sure that everything lines up before you install this in your vehicle. Alright, so now you're going to feed your new strut assembly up from underneath. Now before we tighten these all the way down, I want to go ahead and get the steering knuckle attached also. Go ahead and grab your steering knuckle, wiggle it around, and get your bottom hole lined up. Set your first bolt in. There we go. Now you'll need to rotate this up. All right, there we are. Go ahead and get your 22mm wrench and socket and tighten both of these up. Now we'll go ahead and finish tightening these 3 nuts. You'll always want to finish these off with a nice large ratchet, that way you can be sure that you have good torque on them. Let's go ahead and begin by reconnecting this bar here. You can see that it is too high. So what we're going to do is once again place our jack underneath our steering knuckle. We'll jack this up until it is the appropriate height. We'll place our 14mm nut on. To tighten it up, we will once again need our 14mm wrench and our 5mm Allen wrench. Next, I'll reconnect our ABS sensor with its 10mm bolt. Then we'll reattach our plastic clip. It has little holes on the side here and the side over here that it clips into. Just push it over till it clips. Just like that. And then we'll place this locator tab in this groove here. Now we are ready for our brake line, which will sit in this slot here. We'll line up our holes and then insert our 12mm bolt. All right. That's how you replace the front struts in your car. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up, subscribe to our channel, and turn on your bell notifications for future videos. As always, dude, we can fix it, and I'll see you next time.